Hello and welcome to Double Play Sports. I'm James alongside Pat. This is episode 41 of our podcast. We're here today with former MLB reliever Justin Miller. Justin, how are you today?
I'm great.
Well, we're super happy to have you on the show. Want to start it off a little bit before your MLB career, though. Started off with the college days. You were a 2008 College World Series champ at Fresno State. Very early in your career, what was that experience like for you, and what confidence did it give you starting your pro career?
Uh, Dude, it gave me the most confidence. I mean, the pitching in Omaha and old Rosenblatt, pitching in front of those many people, and then going into like your first minor league game, you go from like 30,000 to maybe 1,000. Uh, it's uh, it's pretty cool experience. Just being able to pitch in front of a crowd like that, having the fan support, is awesome. It's one of a lifetime experience.
So then, in 2011, you would be pitching very well for the Frisco Rough Riders, the Rangers Double-A affiliate. But then, coming off season, you would undergo Tommy John surgery. Um, what was your mindset sort of going through that, like when you got the news, and what was that rehab like for you?
Well, going into 2020, or sorry, the 2011 season, I read a book called The Mental ABCs of Pitching, and it talked about all the things you can do to control in your own hands before you release the ball. So you're in control until you release it, basically. And then it was just taking one step at a time. The little things add up to the end goal. And so going into rehab, I kind of took the same aspect. Like, I'm just going to take this one day at a time, crush this day, and then worry about the next day, crush the next day, and then come back stronger and healthier.
Yeah. So switching it up a little bit, I want to talk to you about the tattoos. You said in an interview a while ago, it's all angels and demons, basically one war happening on my left arm. Pretty intense. Yeah, those are pretty sick. What were your inspirations for those and where'd you get them done?
So I got them all done out here in Arizona. The whole top half is done by three different artists, and then the third artist did the rest of my lower half. And it all kind of started in my rehab process for the Tommy John. I wanted something to look at every day. Good versus evil. You're fighting your demons, inside and out. So I found this picture where it's an angel and a demon kind of mirroring each other. So it's kind of like looking in a reflection. And then my dad, he has a Bible verse, Romans 12:21. So I put that on there. It says, do not be overcome by evil, overcome evil with good." So that was just kind of like what I took into like the rehab, and so got that done. And then I also have my grandpa. He's on my shoulder. I got my kids' birth dates on my shoulders, on the back of my shoulders, and then I have a tattoo on my ribs that me and my wife share.
That's very nice. Now getting back into baseball. Uh, throughout your career, at any time, college, minor leagues, anything, what who was the coach that really stuck with you the most? His advice, his teachings, all things like that.
I mean, you always got to start with your dad. He's your first coach. He played a little bit of pro ball, and then going into all the way up into the big leagues, he was always still critiquing everything. So you always got that in the back of your head, chirping. But my junior college coach, he really turned everything around for me. Coming out of high school, I wasn't a big like blue chipper or a prospect. I was only getting recruited by my local junior college. Coming out of high school, I was only like 83, 85. And then going to the junior college and working with him, and he developed my mechanics that he preaches to everybody else. And I immediately jumped from my senior year of high school to my freshman year of college, going from 83, 85 to sitting 89, 90, just by changing my mechanics and getting more in line and better. And then eventually getting bigger and stronger, and then getting into pro ball and getting more training. I went from, like I said, 83, 85 to all the way up touching 100.
Crazy. So switching it up a little bit again, we're kind of bouncing around. We're both Mets fans. You played with this guy twice in your career. He's quite the character in the MLB. Can you talk to me a little bit about Scherzer? Is he as, let's say, vibrant as he appears off the field in the clubhouse?
He is one unique bird, I would say that. Not only with the two different colored eyes, he's got dogs that have two different colored eyes because he has two different colored eyes. Um, he he has a playbook that's about this big full of passing routes that he does between him, his strength coach, and our bullpen catcher. And his thought process is if he could remember the play calls when he's this tired running these routes, then he can be able to concentrate when he's out in the game and go deep into games and be able to pitch through fatigue. But if he made the mistake, he had to do 10 push-ups. If the strength and conditioning coach who was throwing the passes made a mistake, he had to do 10 push-ups. And then our bullpen catcher, if he let it get by him, he had to do 10 push-ups. But then if he knocked down a pass, then Scherzer and the strength and conditioning coach had to do 10 push-ups. So it was all game within a game. He's one of the only guys I know that can show up probably 5 minutes before his bullpen, be fully dressed, go into the locker room, change within a minute, and be out on the field playing catch. He doesn't stretch. He doesn't do all that stuff. He just goes straight into it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, when you watch him pitch, it's just like intimidating. He's staring down the batters. It's just another level. So
he's Mad Max when he's on the mound.
Yeah.
He's also, if you ever notice, when he gets done warming up for the game and he comes down and he goes through the dugout, everybody's high-fiving the catcher and the pitching coaches and stuff, and nobody touches him. He's not allowed. He doesn't want anybody touching him until he's out of the game.
I remember that right last year when he got traded to the Dodgers. I think it was their manager, Dave Roberts, tried to give him a high five first time he came off the mound, and it did not go over well.
Yeah, he said, "Don't effing touch me."
Yeah.
So next part of our interview, we want to talk about the whiskers, all right? This part's called Bearded Baseball. Pat, start us off with the first question.
All right. So obviously, because it's still with us here today, you have a pretty great beard.
Thanks.
You've kept it up through all the stops in your major league career. So what are the tips and tricks? How do you get it like that?
Honestly, man, like I said, coming out of high school, all I could grow is like just this little like peach fuzz that was down here, and then all of a sudden, when I turned 25, I can grow like the Fu Manchu, but none of the sides came in. All of a sudden, everything came in, and then I guess going to Colorado and being around Charlie Blackmon and learning about beard oil and putting that stuff on, it just made it just grow crazily.
Interesting. Yeah, that's who I was about to talk about. So you've had some teammates with some great beards, Jabba Chamberlain, Chuck Nasty, like you said, Jason Mott, Sean Doolittle. And I want you, if you can, to give me kind of your Mount Rushmore of baseball beards. Who are the guys that really are the pinnacles of the game?
Oh, beard-wise, man, you guys pretty much named all those guys. I'd say Chuck Nasty has to be up there. Mott. Napoli. Napoli had a really good beard when he was with Texas. And then I know he didn't have a beard, but he had definitely the facial hair. Raleigh Fingers, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely fair, definitely fair. I mean, that mustache, no one's ever worn it as well as he has.
No.
And then moving on to topic sort of has to do with one of our other beard guys, Chuck Nasty, Charlie Blackmon. Obviously, it's always a big deal for everyone having to pitch at Coors. So what was your experience like pitching there? We've talked to guys like Denny Nagel and current Rocky Lucas Gilbreth that have had to pitch there. What was your experience?
I mean, my experience was kind of up and down. When it was good, it was really good. When it was bad, it was really bad. What I learned from Ottavino was that it wasn't so much the home runs that kills you. The gaps in Colorado at Coors Field, they're huge. So triples and doubles can hurt you worse than like home runs. But me being a strikeout pitcher, I really didn't care if a guy got a double. I was going to try to punch out the next two guys.
Yeah.
So my mindset was always attacking, and it really didn't matter. The other crazy and crappy part about pitching for Colorado is as soon as you get acclimated to the altitude, you leave and you got to go back down to sea level, and then you got to get acclimated to sea level, and then hang on, sissy. Okay, sorry, I got my daughter here. And then going back to Coors Field and trying to get reacclimated. That was the toughest part, but I also loved pitching there because my slider was a lot harder.
I have to ask, was there a stadium that you felt like it was almost more difficult to pitch at than Coors?
More difficult to pitch at? Nah. I don't think anyone. I mean, mentally wise, and what they do with the bullpen compared to the game mound was probably Fenway. Um, if you've ever been to Fenway, and I'm a right-handed pitcher, and you're in the visiting bullpen, you can't throw on the right side, the right rubber, because of where the overhang hangs. No right-hander can throw there. And then if you're throwing on the other one, it almost looks like when you're looking straight down, home plate's over here. So talking about Scherzer again, it messed with him so much that he would warm up in between the rubbers on the dirt, not touching the rubber, because he wanted to have a straight line. And then the mound in the bullpen is kind of pretty downhill. And then when you get on the game mound, it's flat. So you have to kind of switch it around.
Yeah, that's tricky. You mentioned a guy, Ottavino, and obviously Mets fans, I got to ask about him. We were just on a road trip and we saw Ottavino. It was like 115 degrees out with the heat index, and he didn't have any shoes on. He was walking on the field without any shoes on. He walked in the dugout. He was signing autographs without any shoes on. Is that something he did when he was with the Rockies, or is that a new Ottavino mentality?
I think it's a new thing. I think it's a new thing in baseball, not just in the MLB and the minor leagues too. There's a thing called grounding. I guess if you walk barefoot on the surface, like on grass and dirt, the energy from the earth goes up through your feet. It's all this hippie stuff. Goes up through your feet, and it's supposed to re-energize your body and get you more connected to the ground. So he's probably doing that. But I also know when we were in Texas and we were pitching in Texas, I happened to be on the DL, so I got to hang out in the dugout. These guys were out in the bullpen, and it was 105 degrees, but on the turf in the bullpen, it was like 120 degrees. Him and I can't think of the other guy's name. Jake McGee. They were sitting there pouring water on their cleats to cool their feet off because it felt like it was just steaming and radiating.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, talking about some of the different cities you played in, out of all the cities during your career, I want to know which had the best food.
Best food. Oh, I'm a big seafood guy.
Hmm.
Baltimore was awesome because your getaway day, they had nothing but just crab, and it doesn't come on a plate. It comes in these big old cardboard boxes, full crab. You just pick them out, put them on the plate, crack them open, and go to town. That was probably one of the best getaway meals I've had. Going to Boston and New York and those places, they got those fancy restaurants. Those are cool. But Baltimore was probably my favorite memory.
Definitely a good answer. So, we're going to transition a little bit to see how well you remember some of the big moments of your career. This is trivia time. Do you remember who your first MLB strikeout was? Who you struck out the first time?
Colin Cowgill on a
There you
slider.
go.
I got the ball on my mantle in my room.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that's interesting. He was a Met, so I can recognize the name. But yeah, Colin Cowgill, nice work.
All right, we'll hit you with a positive one. Let's go to a little more of a negative one. Do you know who hit the first home run off of you in your career?
First home run. It had to been with Detroit. I think it was. I don't know. The one I remember that I hated was Houston, but I honestly don't know the name of who hit the first one off me.
It was Matt Dominguez, third baseman for Houston.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
It was in like a blowout game. I didn't want to be out there.
That's fair. So, final one I have for you. Do you remember your career record or how many wins you finished with your career?
I know I had more wins than losses. That's for sure.
That's true. That's
I
true.
think I was over a 500 winner.
Oh yeah.
I was probably like 600, maybe 15 wins.
You had 14, so you're right there. Yeah, you went 14 and 5 in your career. So that's pretty damn
14
impressive.
and 5.
Yeah.
Okay, dang. Put me in the starter.
Yeah.
All right, so then earlier we talked about Scherzer. So in 2019, you were a part of the team that would eventually go on to win the World Series with the Nationals. But on May 17th, you would go down with an injury. At that point, the Nationals were just 18 and 26, 7 games back in the division, and even 6.5 back on the wild card. Could you tell that there was still something special in that team, that they still had more to give?
Oh, definitely. I mean, just I mean, the reason I went down with an injury was it was me and Doodle that were holding that bullpen together for that first month and a half, because we had Rosenthal that was having issues, and then Bearclaw was having some issues. And then I knew we had some younger guys that had some really good talent, and I was just trying to claw and fight to keep my way through that. I came down with an injury during spring, and I never fully recovered, and I just kept trying to fight through it, and eventually couldn't keep doing it. So, but the bullpen alone, knowing what we had there, I knew we had a chance. And then if our young guys on the field like Soto and those guys could repeat what they did last year, I knew something was going to happen.
So switching it up a little bit, who is the toughest batter for you to face in your career?
Oh, jeez. Big league wise, I don't know if there was per se like the toughest. I think Pete Alonso has me. I think he's hit 2 home runs off me, but I punched him out. I think twice. But in the minor leagues in that 2011 season, that thing was packed full of big league stars. Mike Trout, Altuve, those 2 guys in that league, those were pretty tough. Even when I was sitting upper 90s, touching 100, they were still able to make contact, and you could see like the potential those guys had. And so I'd say those 2 guys were probably the toughest.
Definitely fair. So for our final main segment we're going to do, we want to talk a little bit about the game of baseball today.
Yeah, so let's talk about relievers. Who is a reliever in today's game? If you can give us one that you can sort of see yourself in them.
I can sort of see myself. Honestly, I haven't been paying too much about baseball. It's kind of depressing because I feel like I should still be out there. But let's see. I mean, Ottavino. I mean, me and him were crossbody guys. Good sliders, good fastballs, good 2 seams. I think that's probably one of the reasons why Colorado wanted me. Trying to think anybody else. I kind of like Joe Kelly because he's crazy. I always wanted to have that chip on my shoulder when I was out there pitching. Yeah, I'd say those 2 guys.
Yeah, that's definitely some good answers. I mean, Ottavino's a pretty great guy, strives on consistency. So talking about one guy who's pretty impressive, Shohei Ohtani. This offseason, he's going to be a free agent. He's up for a new contract. As someone who pitched, you hit a little bit. You had 4 at-bats in your career, so you can call yourself a hitter as well. What kind of contract do you think he should get, if you can give us some sort of an idea?
Well, is that pre or post this Tommy John surgery?
That has I mean, I don't know if he's like officially getting Tommy John. They're saying he's gonna have some sort of surgery, but I mean,
Yeah,
it
no,
definitely
he's gonna have to get TJ again probably.
okay.
If it's this bad, he's probably gonna have TJ. If he didn't have TJ and he was still gonna be a 2-way powerhouse that he is, I would have said 700.
Yeah.
I would have said 700 for maybe 8 or 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he'll probably get a Mike Trout contract.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's almost absurd to say like the guy gets Tommy John going into his free agent season and he's still gonna get a contract like Mike Trout.
Yeah, because I mean the hitting. I mean he can still hit. He doesn't need to throw. And now with DHs in both leagues,
Yeah.
I mean what team doesn't want that kind of power?
And I know you said that you haven't been keeping up that much, but if there's some teams out there that you would say, who do you think is your favorite for the World Series this year?
I gotta say Braves. I mean, with their starting staff, their lineup, and then their bullpen, they're up there. Honestly, I'm trying to think of any other teams that I don't know. Are the Phillies in there? Are they doing decent?
They're doing well.
Yeah.
Then I mean, you always got the NL West. Dodgers seem to run away with that one all the time. So there's
Yeah.
always a chance there. Cardinals had a chance, but they kind of stumbled throughout the season. I thought they had a chance at the start of the season, but they've obviously stumbled and then kind of went on a little bit of a fire sale.
Yeah. And then sort of question about you yourself as a pitcher. What you give us just a quick breakdown, your pitches, how you threw them, what they were like.
I threw a 4-seam fastball for 90% of my career. Then I had a slider that got changed when I was in Detroit. It's fun. You pitch with some of the Hall of Famers like Joe Nathan. And he shows you a slider grip. You kind of want to run with that one. That one worked out really well, especially when I went over to Colorado and refined it. that was my go-to strikeout pitch, was my slider. And then later on in my career, when I think it was my second year with Colorado, a buddy of mine named Jason Gurka, he taught me a one-seam grip that Zach Britton threw. And when Zach Britton almost won the Cy Young, the next year they taught all their lefties how Zach Britton threw his two-seam. So he showed me that, and then I eventually I didn't throw it there, but I eventually threw it when I was with the Nationals, and then when I was with the Cardinals my last year, so 21. It worked out really well for me.
Very nice. So what's going on in the world of Justin Miller today? What have you been up to, and what can we look forward to in the future?
Trying to get back into the baseball aspect, the professional baseball aspect, but on the other side of the lines, trying to become a coach. Just had an interview with the Guardians. Hopefully, maybe get into their farm system. Right now, I'm helping out with a high school out here called Horizon High School, doing the varsity pitching coaching out here, helping out with those guys. And then there also might be some financial advising in my future history. Try to do that on the other side as well.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Justin. It was great talking to you. Had a lot of fun today, and we're looking forward to hopefully everything goes well with the Guardians. I'm sure you'd be a great addition to their staff, and we wish you well.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Have a great day.
See ya.